There was a long war between us and the Elohim, and also between certain groups of the Elohim themselves, because many of them were the opinion that the again and again creation of human species on this planet makes no real sense. The last battles in this war were fought around 5,000 years ago in orbit and surface. The aliens used powerful sonic weapons to destroy our underground cities, but on the other hand, we were able to destroy many of their surface installations and bases in space. The humans of your series were very frightened when they observed our battles, and they wrote it down in form of religious myths. Their mind was not able to understand what was really going on. The Elohim, who appeared as gods for the 6th and 7th breed, told them that it is a war between good and evil, and that they are the good, and we are the evil race. This depends certainly on the point of view. It was our planet before they arrived, and before they started their evolution project with your kind. In my opinion, it was our right to fight for our planet. It was exactly 4,943 years ago, according to your time scale, that the Elohim left the planet again for unknown reasons. This is a very important date for us, because many of our historians called it a victory. Fact is that we don't know what had really happened. The Elohim were gone from one day to another. They vanished without a trace together with their ships, and we found most of their surface installations destroyed by them. The humans were on their own, and your civilization developed. Many of us were in contact with certain, more southern tribes of your species in the coming centuries, and we were able to convince some of them that we are not the evil the aliens wanted them to believe. During the time from 4,900 years ago to today, many other alien species arrived on our planet. Some of them used the old teaching and programming of your mind and played again God for you, but the Elohim themselves never came back. They had left the planet for a duration of some 1,000 years also earlier, so we expect their return one day in future to end their project, or to maybe extinct also the 7th breed, but we don't really know what have happened to them, to answer this question of you in advance. Your current civilization doesn't know anything about your real origin, about your real past, about your real world and universe, and you know very little about us and our past, and you know nothing about the things to come in near future. As long as you will not understand and believe my words, I tell you the truth because we are not your enemy, as long as there is danger for your species. Your enemies are already here, and you have not understood. Open your eyes, or you will be in big trouble soon. If you haven't believed anything of the things I've told you before, then you should really believe and remember this. I have a certain feeling that you don't believe me, despite the fact that I'm sitting here in front of you. Everything I have told you in the last 2 hours is the absolute truth about our world. You might ask, how many alien species are active on Earth at the moment? As far as we know, 14 species. 11 from this universe, 2 from another bubble, and 1 very advanced from a very different plane. Don't ask me for names because nearly all are not pronounceable for you. 8 of them are not pronounceable even for us. Most of the species, especially the more advanced, are just studying you as animals, and they are not very dangerous for you and for us. And we work together with some of them, but 3 species are hostile, including the one which was in contact with some of your governments, and exchanged their technology for copper and other important things, and which had betrayed your kind. There was and is a cold war between 2 of these hostile races during the last 73 years, and the 3rd species seemed to be the winner in this useless struggle. We expect a hotter war between them and you in the near future, I would say in the next 10 or 20 years, and we are worried about that development. In the last time, there were some rumors about a new 15th species which had arrived on Earth just 3 or 4 years ago, but we don't know anything about their intentions, and we were not in contact with them till now. Maybe the rumors are wrong. What do the hostile alien races want? Various raw materials, including gold, copper, limestone for their technology, your water, or better, the hydrogen in your water, which is a source of energy in advanced fusion processes, and certain chemical elements in your air. Furthermore, 2 of the species are also interested in your body, in your human tissue and blood, because their own genetic structure is defect through bad evolution and radiation, as far as we know, and they need intact strings from your kind and from animals to repair their own genetic again and again, but they are not really able to repair the defects completely because their DNA and your DNA is not fully compatible. My own species is absolutely incompatible with them, so they are not very interested in us. And they try to make more compatible crossbreeds between you and them by use of artificial fertilizations and artificial wombs. We suppose that the coming war between the three races, or between you and one or all of them, will be fought for raw material, hydrogen, air, and DNA. Is this the reason for the abductions? Partly, especially when the aliens took egg and sperm samples from you. Sometimes the abductors belong to another, and more advanced race, and they just want to study your body and your mind, which is more interesting for some of them than your solid body, as you would study a primitive animal. As I have said, 3 alien species are hostile, and this means that they do not care for your fate or for your life, and people who were abducted by them came very rarely back alive. If someone is able to report about an abduction, it means, in my opinion, that he or she has not met one of the aggressive species, or that he or she is a very, very lucky human to be alive. Advanced and friendly races also took sometimes egg and sperm samples, but for other reasons. You might ask, there are only 14 species active on Earth. But why describe people who saw alien beings, so many different and bizarre types of them? I think I have already answered to this question. As I have said, most of the alien races have much more advanced mind abilities than you or even me. There is just one alien race completely without such abilities. They are able to appear in your mind and memory as whatever they want, and this induced image has nothing to do with their real appearance. You remember them as normal humans or gray dwarfs, or even extremely bizarre animals, because they want you to remember that, or sometimes they want you to completely forget anything about a meeting with them. Another example, you can for example remember that you were just in a normal of your human hospitals, and that some doctors were examining you, and you think not further about what have happened to you, maybe till you discover that there is no hospital in the street where you supposed it, but in fact you were examined by them in one of their laboratories. You can't rely on your mind in this case. They appear in different shapes to you, to confuse you, and to make so-called abduction witnesses who are able to remember the events, or who believe they are able to remember. Ridiculous in the public, and as far as we know, they are successful. Believe me, there are only 14 alien species on this planet, and only 8 of them abduct humans at the moment, again as far as we know. In addition, not every one of your abductees is one, and some of the aliens in their reports are really just imagination or lies. You might ask, how can we protect us against this influence on our mind? I don't know. I doubt you can, because your mind is like an open book to read and write for nearly every species I know. This is partly the guilty of the Elohim themselves, because they had constructed, or better misconstructed, partly intentionally, your mind and your consciousness, without real protection mechanisms. If you are aware that someone tries to manipulate your mind, you can only concentrate on that suspicion and try to analyze every one of your thoughts and memories. Very important, don't close your eyes. This would lead to a different form of brainwaves which are easier to access. And don't sit or lay down to rest. If you stay awake during the first minutes, you can maybe try to filter the other thoughts and waves in your brain, and the inducer will give up after some minutes if he or she is not successful, because it will start to hurt his or her own brain. This is very difficult and certainly painful, and it can harm you, so better don't try to resist, but it would be the only possibility you have. However, you can try this only with the weaker species, not with the strong. What do you mean with one species comes from a very different plane? Before I can explain that correctly to you, you must be able to understand the universe, and this would mean a maybe useless teaching of your mind, including the remove of some barriers, of many weeks, and with teaching I mean not only teaching by words. I have said this with your word plane or level because you have again no better word in your vocabulary, and dimension would be in this case absolutely wrong. It's rather wrong even for another bubble, because a dimension can't exist without planes. If you would be a species living in another or over the plane, and if you would be furthermore able to enter planes without technology, so that your body is not made of that kind of matter, you know, then you would be the mightiest being you can imagine. This very advanced race I've mentioned had developed outside of here, and they've evolved in fact over billions of years. They would be able to destroy all of you and us and everything with just a single thought. We were in contact with them only 3 times in our whole history, because their interest in your planet is different from that of all other races. They are definitely no danger for you or us. What will happen when the war begins? This is difficult to answer. It depends on the enemy race and on their tactic. War is not always that primitive thing you humans mean with the word. War can be fought on various levels. One possibility they have is the destruction of your social system by influence on political leaders. Another is the use of advanced weapon systems, which can cause earthquakes or volcanic eruptions or other disasters, including weather disasters, which may seem natural to you. The special fields from copper fusion I've mentioned earlier are able to have an influence on your global weather. I think they will not attack the planet directly before the human civilization is weak, because even you have possibilities to destroy their craft, but not many. Let me say that we are not absolutely sure if there will be really such a hot war already in the next years. I don't want to talk further about this. This is the end of the interview. Do you want to say a last sentence or message? Open your eyes and see. Don't believe only in your wrong history, or your scientists, or your politicians. Some of them know the truth about various things, but they don't inform the public to avoid confusion and panic. I think your species is not as bad as some of my kind thinks, and it would be a pity to observe your end. That's everything I can say. Go through your world with open eyes and you will see, or maybe not. Your kind is ignorant. Do you think anyone will believe that this interview is the truth? No, but it is an interesting experiment for my social studies. We will meet again in some months, and you will tell me then what have happened after the publication of my message. Maybe there is hope for your kind. Other things you should know. Surasa also Siras is a Hindu goddess, who is described as the mother of the Uragas, primordial reptilians. Her most popular tale appears in the Hindu epic Ramayana, where she is tasked to test the god Hanuman on his way to Lanka. In the Hindu epic Ramayana, Surasa is one of the 12 daughters of Daksha who are married to the sage Kashyapa. She became the mother of the Uragas, a class of serpents, while her co-wife and sister Kadru gave birth to Nagas, another class of snakes. Vasuki, Takshaka, Airavata, and other sons of Surasa are described to live in Bhogavati. The epic Mahabharata describes her being born from the wrath of Krodavasha, another wife of Kashyapa. Surasa has 3 daughters, Anala, Ruha, and Viruda. The serpents descend from the daughters of Surasa. She is thus called the mother of Uragas, and also cranes. Another snake race, Panagas, descends from Kadru. The Matsya Purana and the Vishnu Purana describe Surasa as one of 13 wives of Kashyapa and daughters of Daksha. The Vishnu Purana says that she gave birth to 1,000 multi-hooded serpentine and non-serpentine reptilian entities, who could both crawl on the ground and fly in the skies, while Kadru also gives birth to 1,000 multi-hooded serpentine entities. They were mostly incapable of flight, and were instead tethered to the ground. As the Matsya Purana, she is the mother of all quadrupeds, except cows, who are descended from a divine form of Mother Earth herself. The serpents are described as Kadru's children. The Bhagavata Purana portrays her the mother of Rakshasas, cannibals, demons. The Vayu Purana and Padma Purana lists do not mention her as a wife of Kashyapa, and Anayush or Danayush take her position as mother of snakes. Below thee is the battle between Iravat and Alambusha. Iravat was half human, half Naga, and Alambusha was a Rakshasa. Rakshasas are similar to Orc Ogre, and Nagas are reptilians. Seeing these exhilarated warriors, Iravat says to his bejeweled Naga soldiers, "Destroy these, their astras and their beasts." And his uncanny fighters, many of them half human and half great serpents, begin to cold-bloodedly harvest the onrushing cavalry of spirited Dhartarashtra warriors. Watching their horsemen being coolly erased by Iravat's nerveless legion, the distraught sons of Subala charge Iravat and surround him. Their forces attack Iravat and his Naga cavalcade with spears, and gory pandemonium rules all Kurukshetra. Pierced with deep spears and drenched in blood pouring free from his wounds, Iravat looks like an elephant repeatedly pierced with a hook. Though wounded deeply in his chest, back, and thighs, he faces his adversaries alone and never wavers, not for a moment, Arjuna's heroic son. Iravat stuns his rivals with a tornado of arrows so they swoon. That Parantapa rips out the spears from his body and flings them back at the sons of Subala, striking them deep. He charges them with sword and shield in hand to kill them. They recover consciousness and attack him ferociously. Undaunted, Iravat continues to run at them, blade upraised. So swiftly does he weave and run that even on their fleet chargers they cannot accost him. His enemies ring him round and try to capture him. But as they near him, that Parantapa hacks off their arms in a flurry and hacks away the legs of some. Their ornamented arms and weapons fall, and Arjuna's terrifying Naga son cuts off their heads all around. Only the wounded Vrishava Rajan escapes alive from Iravat. Seeing those valiant Kshatriyas killed in moments, Duryodhana says to the sinister Alambusha, master of Maya, who loathes Bhima for having killed his brother Baka once, Look how Iravat has slaughtered my troops. You too have Maya at your command and can go anywhere at will. You loathe Arjuna. Now kill his son in battle." Alambusha roars like a lion, and with the fiendish Rakshasas of his Akshauhini wielding weirdly shining spears, charge Iravat. With the remainder of the Kaurava horsemen too, Alambusha rushes at the mighty Iravat, who covers him in blizzard of arrows in the twinkling of an eye. Immediately the Rakshasa begins to use his sorcery against the Naga prince. He conjures illusory chargers ridden by Rakshasas armed with spears and axes. 2,000 die in moments in the battle between Iravat and Alambusha, and the two of them quickly come face to face like Vasava and Vritra. As Alambusha closes on him, Iravat cleaves his bow with his sword, and whirling like some dervish, cuts down the Rakshasas' arrows all round him. Alambusha flies up into the air, and flitting here and there, changing his form moment to moment, tries to confound Iravat with Maya. But Iravat can also shift his shape at will, and baffles Alambusha with his chimeras, and swiftly hacks off the fiend's arms and legs, shredding them with lightning sword strokes. But lo, Alambusha reappears in a wink, now with a youthful appearance. Making illusion is natural to Rakshasas, and they can choose their age and form at will. The Rakshasas' severed limbs join magically together and are now darkly splendid and rippling with youth and vigor. With a howl, Iravat hacks at Alambusha with his axe, like a woodsman cutting down a tree, mangling him again so his blood flows in rills. Alambusha's horrible roaring echoes across the field, entirely patina'd with the skin of blood. Yet again, Alambusha's desiccated body rejoins miraculously, and now assuming a more macabre form than any he yet has, he rushes forward to try to seize Iravat bodily. Arjuna's son never flees a battle. Quickly a great Naga, a kinsman of his mother, appears at his side, and through that uncle's Maya, Iravat is surrounded by his serpentine kin. Surrounded by glimmering emerald-scaled Nagas, coincidentally the Nagas in the picture below are emerald in color, Iravat assumes a form as vast as Ananta himself. He then mantles monstrous Alambusha in a writhing mass of snakes. The Rakshasa reflects for only a moment, and assuming the form of Garuda, devours those snakes and Iravat's uncle with them. Seeing that Naga of his mother's line consumed through illusion, Iravat is momentarily confounded. In that moment, the Rakshasa kills him with his sword. Iravat's crowned head, lovely as a lotus, beautiful as the moon, rolls to the ground. When Arjuna's noble son is slain by the Rakshasa, the Dhartarashtra legions erupt in celebration. Conchas boom and drum rolls fill the air thick with ghosts of men and their beasts dying in thousands all the while, and hardly aware yet they have been killed. Also, one of the Elohim Enlil's son, Nanar Sin, had a daughter named Arishkegel. The Cuthite was the wife of Nergal Sharetsar, the chemist. That's the reason why he lived in that evil land, the land of the Cuthites. Ereshkigal was the daughter of Naya Nanar, half-sister of Ishtar. Her mother, Nin Nashama, was from the Rakshasa species, a half-snake, half-Hindu tribe. Her symbol was the Kundalini.